Hi y'all, welcome back to my shop for another wood turning episode. Now, I hope this inspires you to make a box. In this case, we're going to make a threaded acorn box. You don't have to make one out of threads, but I find these boxes a lot of fun and very fulfilling. So I want to show you some of the details in making one of these boxes. Now we're going to make this out of a piece of madrone burl. I picked up recently at a symposium. It looks pretty. I've never turned madrone before, so it should be interesting. And I'm using threaded glue blocks. I did a video a while back on using a Beal tap. This is a very handy way to turn a box because you can always take them on and off. This is especially handy when you're threading, and it'll always run true. The bottom of the box is going to be out of this highly figured maple. Because of the end grain, you don't get as good a glue sticking on end grain, so I like to get a little bit on here and rub it in real good. Let that be the last thing. Then I take glue block. I've got a recess on one end that goes to the headstock, so I make sure I use the other end. I've already checked to make sure they're flat. Try not to get glue on the inside. And I'll go ahead and take one of these bricks I've wrapped duct tape around. I find these very helpful to use as little clamps. Just weight them, put a little more pressure on it, and we'll let those dry overnight. First thing we're going to do is turn this round. This is sealed in wax, so it's green, so I've got to rough turn it first and wait some period of time for it to dry. Alright, now that I've got it round, I'm going to face it off, and then we're going to hollow it out. Rearrange the tool rest support, so I'll cut on center. So the tool rest is a little bit below center, so when I come in here, I'll be right on center. And I'm just going to make sure this is flat before I do anything else. Now I'm going to drill a starter hole. It's not always necessary in a lid, but sometimes I find it helpful. I've already got a little bit of a dimple from the tails from the live center. So I'm going to use my hand drill and just brace it. So I'm just kind of brace myself here and have this speed down to no more than about 1,000, and just kind of ease it in. So I need to decide about how deep I want to go with this thing. I think I want to make it probably about 1/4 inch past the mark I have here. Alright, I've done this several times before, but we're just going to sweep from the inside to the outside. And I'm using a 1/2 inch spindle gouge with a somewhat shallow flute. And we're just running at about 1,000 RPMs. Speed's not critical. I go a little faster, wouldn't want to go much slower. And I'm just going to cut this to the outside. I like the way this madrone cuts. This is nice. I'm going to make this wall somewhat thick initially, probably at least 10%. Give me something to shoot for. This should give you a pretty good view of this sweep in motion. I've got this thing almost parallel to the ground, to the lathe bed, and the flute is somewhere toward 10:30. That is, if this were a clock face and my hand straight up were 12, and this way out here is 9. Somewhere around 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11. And then I just sweep, I just pivot. Feel in there for that bottom of the hole. Okay, it's flat, got a little bit of bump there. And I think that'll do it for the time being. We'll take that off. Like I say, I can thread this on and off, where if I took it out of a chuck, I would lose centering on it. And I think you can see how far we've gone. Not too deep. I may put it back on and go just a little bit deeper. Actually, I think I will. A box scraper here. I have to raise this up a little bit. This is a little bit thinner than that, guys. I'm just going to go right down the side here, bracing it. Look at this, I can feel it and get a pretty good sense for it. Okay, now I think we can take this thing off. Yeah, the figure in this burl is very nice. This is going to be really pretty, and I think this will texture well. Well, I hope so. So we're going to set that aside. Now we're going to get do the bottom, rough it out, and to kind of give you a sense, this glue block is almost the size of this, so this gives me some feel for, you know, the shape of this thing, and how much overhang I'll have. So if I get this thing pretty much round, I think I'll be in good shape. You can make these glue blocks out of most any hardwood. One is cherry and the other one is poplar. So again, we're going to bring up tailstock support while we rough it. Probably unnecessary, but you know, I'm a belts and suspenders kind of guy, so might as well use it when we can. Bring this up. Always rotate it. Looks good. Get the speed up a little bit. Anchor. Right. Anchor the tool. Ride the bevel. Slowly lift. Easy. I don't like to touch moving wood. I think it's a bad habit to get into. I don't see anything to be gained from it. Alright, now, as before, we're going to face this off. Go ahead and get it flat. Again, I'm just going to kind of do a pull scraping cut with this spindle gouge. Just to make it easier to, again, use that screw for a depth hole. Just chamfer a little bit of a hole here. And, you know, part of this is going to be a tenon. You know, maybe somewhere like this. I want to have room here to remove shape this down, so probably I don't want to go, I don't think much deeper than about that. So if I measure that, I've got a mark here. And there we are. Okay, and then we're going to come back similar to before. I'm going to do most of the hollowing with this 1/2 inch. If it was a smaller box, I'd use a 3/8, but I'm going to go in there a little ways. Again, about 10 o'clock. And that's good. Now I'm going to let this sit, maybe a couple of days. This will be fine. I'm not sure about the madrone. Not sure. I've got a feeling because of its figure and burl, I understand this madrone has also been treated in boiling water to take some of the tension out. So I suspect I can probably get back to this within a few days. At least I'm going to hope so. Okay, in all likelihood I'll thread this with a jig, but I've got, almost a quarter of an inch excess here that needs to be taken down a little bit before I start threading. Okay, I've sanded this. I'm almost ready to take it off and do some threading, but thought I'd go ahead and do a little texturing first, so maybe you can see this. And get the speed up, maybe 500 or 600. Ease it in. And then just hold it patiently and firmly. And I think you can. And of course we need to kind of outline it a little bit, so I'll do the speed a little bit more. I'm going to come in just on the out. Let's double check where, here, and there. Speed up just a little bit. And just come in 90 degrees to the surface of the wood. Just punch it up just a little bit. Flat side up on this tool. And that'll give it just a little more detail. Because it's just a bit harder to finish with the threads on it, I'm going to go ahead and put a little friction polish on there. I'm going to put a little gilt cream in the bottom, and the friction polish will make it a little easier to get it off if it strays outside where I want it to go. There we go. So I'm going to use a little Chromacraft accent paste, gold, and put just a little bit on this rag, on this kitchen paper, and just slowly rub the top. You can't help but get just a bit of a spillover, so I'm going to show you how to fix that. I'm just going to use just a touch of mineral spirits and hold it just adjacent to the edge while it's turning slowly. I think you can see that. And that should clean it up. And that got rid of all the spillover. So just a nice little detail when someone opens up the box. Okay, here I am ready to set up to cut female threads. Let me see if I can get you a little better view when we start cutting. Okay, we're going to turn the speed volume up very fast. This video is not about threading, but I'm just going to show you a few scenes here. And I'm going to harden these threads just a bit with by dripping a little CA in here. I think that'll soak into the wood nicely. And here comes the critical step, and that's measuring this and setting the right size for the male tenon. So what we're going to do, we're going to take digital calipers, which I've zeroed. We're just going to measure the inside. Make sure we've got good contact. And then I'm going to add a factor to it. I'm going to zero this out, and then I'm just going to dial in the additional factor. That tells me how big I'm going to make the tenon. So we're going to go ahead and put this back on. Now we're going to make this tenon to accommodate at least 3 threads. Marking that. Put this up to about 1,000, and I'm just going to take the first pass and then do a check on it. When I'm working at these tolerances, I don't like to do it with the lathe turning. Now I'm looking at this very carefully on this end to make sure that I've got a parallel tenon that's the same thickness all the way across. And now we have it. It's a little loose actually there. All the money there. Now I'm going to take a parting tool, 16th inch parting tool, and I'm going to make a very slight recess in the back for the thread cutter to go into. Now we're ready to start threading, but I want to go ahead and chamfer the end off here first. So we're going to take our pyramid tool and just chamfer the end a little bit. Makes it a little easier when you put those box parts together, top and bottom. Every threading jig works just a little bit differently, but the same basically principle, but in terms of the adjustment. In this case, I'm going to turn this dial about 3/4, and that should be pretty close. Tighten it up. Okay, now I'm going to keep my hand rest on here to keep this stable. Turn the speed up, and then we're going to start cutting those threads. And we'll do another trial fit. That's pretty close. I'm going to take a brass brush and I'm going to clean the dust off. And I touch this up just a bit to ease the sharp threads with a bit of sandpaper. Now I'm going to, another approach sometimes I like to use when the fit seems like it'll work but it needs a little bit of encouragement, I like to put a little paste wax in the threads. And sometimes that makes a difference. I want a snug fit but not sloppy. And that's a nice fit, except I failed to open up and relieve this first thread here, so I'm going to have to put that back on and make that adjustment. But then we're going to be ready to put this on and start adjusting the shape of the body. Okay, so I'm going to go back and relieve this about 1 thread depth on the front here using a box scraper. the point tool to just kind of, again, chamfer that edge just a little bit. And this will account for that very last male thread not being cut quite, not having quite enough recess. So let's clean this out a little bit here. And now that should fit snug all the way up to the end. And it does. One of the nice things about an Acorn box that I like, you don't have to worry about a grain match because you got contrasting wood. Okay. I'm going to go ahead while I've got this on here. I'm going to go ahead and finish adjusting the, go ahead and shape the head. And we're going to do our texturing. Convert the inside to the outside for a box. And there's where the inside thread, I want to leave that box, oh, maybe 3/8 of an inch to account for any texturing we're going to do and a little bit of sanding. Okay, there's that. Now we're going to take it down there and then round it off. I'm going to take it down with spindle gouge. Actually, I'm going to use a parting tool to start with.